When writing a book, there are many different ideas you need to focus on. There are plenty of characters, dialogue, the type of story, the message, and so on. Yet one of the biggest things many authors, including myself, struggle with from time to time is the consistency aspect of book. Now in the modern age, with the rise of AI, books are easier to write simply because you can make it, but it's also harder because of that strained technology and that many of us continuously get distracted. The best books nowadays are not the ones written by AI, rather it's the ones written by the most dedicated people. Books are one of my favorite processes of all time simply because they take so much time to write, and it's a fulfilling, satisfying feeling once you get done with writing all this information. But staying consistent on this path is hard, knowing the intuitions and the incentives of what you want to get after writing a book. In this video, I'm here to tell you not only how to stay consistent when writing a book, but to stay on this path forever, so you can not only tell better stories in your own writing, but to tell more intentional pieces that will allow you to be smarter in real life and make greater life decisions. If you don't know me, I am Arnel Arcega. I'm an author, writer, and motivator to make sure not only people read more, but also write more. With the current age of AI and many students getting dumber, as we see in the studies, it's important that people will read books, and we need that by writers alike, both for monetary gains like a business I'm doing here, but to also make sure our society is doing well. If you want to help me out in my contribution to the world, you can if you can follow me in my Instagram down below. I can personally help you write your own book, and with that in mind, you can improve your writing and stay consistent on this path for years on end. For now, let's get into how to stay consistent when writing a book. The rules of a book are pretty standard. All you need to have when writing a book is a pretty hefty amount of words that is delegated in the easiest grammar tools. This is pretty simple looking at every other book imaginable. All these books follow their same rules of grammar, whether it's their own structure like indents, paragraphs, dialogue, and so on. There isn't much to overthink about when it comes to writing a book, but the consistency aspect comes from you yourself. As the author and writer, the driving force of the story you're making, you need to understand how far you can come along when writing your own book. In the case of books, they go up to 10K to up to maybe 120K words. This is thousands, and even though that sounds like a lot, when you sit down with a pen and paper, or hell, even just writing it on a document, usually a page is about 1,000 or so words, which is pretty understandable knowing just how many words you can fluctuate and add. Obviously, the details matter, but when coming to writing your own book, it's a lot about not the words you say, rather the actions you do. This is important going into the following step of how to stay consistent when writing a book, because the scheduling and the routine that comes with it matter when it comes to writing this book. In my case, I've always written, especially during school time in the morning. I make sure to write between a 5 a.m. 7 a.m. window because I know my classes start at 8 in the morning, which is pretty easy to work around, having done part of it at home and then part of it before school starts. It's pretty easy to find that balance, but especially in the summertime with a lot more time on my hand, I need to make sure that I stay consistent on this path while doing what I want with this book. Coming from you yourself, you probably struggle with the same problem whether you are in school or not. So how do you stay consistent when writing this book? What you need to do is visualize it like a workout or like a healthy habit you do. You do these things like a workout, going to sleep on time, or eating at a specific time. You do these all in windows and chunks in your day, which is why it's so important to schedule out your day. That sounds like a lot, but when it comes to being an author, you still want to have enough space to write your book and also make the process of reading books so you could educate people around us in the form of just writing your book. Scheduling it and routining it is the best way to easily find the foundation for writing your book. This can be done simply by doing it in the morning or doing it late at night. Personally, I prefer doing it in the morning. And one of my favorite ideas is this term from one of my favorite YouTubers, Hamza, called Eat the Frog. Eat the Frog is a term in which you just do the hardest activity first. When you do the hardest activity first, to make sure you can not only get what you need done, but also stay consistent on everything else you need to do in the time. Let's picture yourself as a young, inspiring author. You want to be someone who shares this novel book you've been working on for months. However, you are pretty close to finishing the idea, but you want to spend more time writing a book, or you want to spend more time reading books, or you want to spend time hanging out with your friends. As the author, and this is my advice to you, do that hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. I know I'm ripping off those self-improvement YouTubers, but in the case of writing, this matters a lot because you need to see just how far you can come along in writing. In the case of writing your story, it doesn't matter how much progress you put into it. Rather, it's just making sure you have enough progress for that day, that you're satisfied of what you've done. Before I recorded this video, I've actually went back and started editing my second book. This is because I haven't been working on it as much in these past weeks, but I make sure to stay consistent on this path simply by silencing my own ideas and just working on what I see. This can be done in real life by doing all the easy stuff. Putting your phone in another room, making sure you don't eat, and staying hydrated. These three are my biggest advice because when it comes to my own mind, I want to make sure I'm sharp in what I write so that I can tell the best story I can with many words and dialogue that matter. If I want to shape these words to tell something that matters, then truthfully, I need to make sure my brain is at its sharpest. I also do those with these YouTube videos, and it showcases here so I can stay knowledgeable of what I say and do. But that sounds like a lot, and it truly is. But if we break it down in the easiest chunks possible, the goal of this writing period will not only be super easy, but it's super manageable coming from someone new. Even with all my fancy words, because I'm a writer, I'm still an human being in which I just do what matters most. This is why I feel ahead of most people. It's taking pride of the goal. Being prideful of your book is how you can stay consistent when writing. It's not only scheduling it and routining it, but it's also changing your mindset. The more, let's say, you change your mindset of a book, like you have a full story ahead of you. You have tens of pages in front, but the way the author crafted it, they themselves have to think of them as the greatest author possible. This is how I think when I'm trying to write something special, because I know that there's times and periods where I want to tell something important. I want to share a message to people that will value it, to all kinds of ages for that specific book I'm writing. By priding myself in this goal, it not only keeps me consistent when writing, but it also makes me certain of what I want to make. And I do this because while it seems prideful, there are so many examples of books that seem better. And if you want to stay on top of it, if you want to stay truly consistent on this path, you need to view yourself as the #1 writer. If you don't, then you will have competition that will outbeat you. And if you don't do that, then what's the point of your book? Why do you want to create your book in the first place? What's the narrative you want to tell? For monetary gains, for some sort of idea, just to simply share to the world? Keep those goals in mind and pride yourself in it. Be grateful and be happy of all the ideas that can happen when writing a book. There are millions of paths that come with these stuff. And when I make these videos, I make sure to not only educate myself on these books around me, like the ones I've read, but I've always made sure to stay consistent simply by doing that hard work first. The last major thing I want to leave off with when staying consistent when writing a book is to nurture your nature. This is my own coined idea I made a while ago, but it's simply changing your environment. To stay consistent on your book, you need to make sure you have everything in place. Let's say you write your book on a computer. You write it on a Google Docs and you leave it open whenever you do. First, find the place you want to work on this. Just place your computer somewhere you know that you will be the most productive. As we mentioned earlier, some of the best ways to schedule and routine a book is by just removing those other habits. Remove the doom scrolling, remove the food, and all you need is just water sometimes, because that's the best way to stay advantageous. It's the best way to stay ingrained in what you're trying to tell. By doing this, you can then move to somewhere. It can be a desk, it can be another room, or it could be outside of your own house. Move to a specific place that you can continue working and don't change it. I swear, if you continuously change where you work, it will ruin the way you write. I've done this a lot. I keep on moving everywhere in my house, but I've always made sure when it comes to school time, I go to this one specific place right next to my school's library, and I can work there for hours. I stay focused, nothing's distracting me, and I feel proud of the work I am making. Changing this environment is one of the greatest things you can do because there's so many different ways to think about what we do every single day. But when it comes to writing your book, we want to focus on it. You already have the plan in sight, or you're coming up with the plan. You want to have what you hear matter. And if you can have that point matter, then it will gratefully work for your benefit. Change your environment and pride yourself of that goal. By having this set piece, all you have to do then is just work on it. It doesn't matter how many excuses you can make, how many copes you can do. If you don't do this, then honestly, your book will be a failure. All you need to do now, and even with my dry voice, is to just work on the book. Because that's the one thing as an author. It's not about customizing the title. It's not about talking to other friends who write about it. It's writing the damn book. If you can stay consistent when writing that book and making sure you stay on that exact path, I guarantee your book will not only be a success, but it will truly change lives. And this can come whether just informing your story around the world through social media, or the way I do it, just posting content and explaining the thought process of my book. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you can take in the information of not only working better on your own book, but also sharing it out to the world around you. If you want help for that, you can check out me and my other socials down below. If you want to see how I wrote my first book without any guides or whatever, you can check it out in the top link of the description. Both my first and my second books, those are the first drafts. And if you care about anything else, you can always check me out more after this video. Until next time, keep on reading, keep on writing, and take care.